looking at an exercise called the rear foot elevated hip stretch. So Grant's going to pop his toes up onto the bench. He's going to position his knee at an angle forward. He's going to bring his supporting foot up, and he's going to make sure that he can see his instep and his toes in front of his knee and knows that he's supporting legs in the right position. To begin with, in order to warm up the joint capsule of the thigh and the hip, the femur bone into the joint of the hip, he's going to do some hip circles. Nice, gentle hip rotations. He's going to go 5 one way and 5 the other. And then he's going to lean in from the hip and back out. Notice how his upper body's perpendicular, straight up and down. He's not leaning forward from the shoulders. He's driving the movement in from his hip, and he's increasing his mobility and flexibility within the area of the front of the thigh and the front of the hip. So that is the rear foot elevated hip stretch. We're going to be talking you through and demonstrating the angry cat stretch. So Grant's going to make sure that he's in a good box position here. That his hands are shoulder width apart and his knees are shoulder width apart, and he's balancing up onto the toes of both feet. To start off with, he's going to arch his back down the way. He allows the pelvis to tilt, arches down and brings the head up. Then he will tuck the chin under, push up and across through the shoulders, arch up through the middle of his stomach, and create that beautiful arch in his back. He'll go back down again, nice and controlled, through his own range, and back up. And this is the type of pace that you want to be going at. This is a mobilization and activation drill. It shouldn't be jerky, it shouldn't be rough, it should be nice and smooth, a nice good focused breathing. Depending on what arm he's going to stretch or what shoulder he's going to stretch, he will position himself to the opposite side. So Pablo's going to work on his left arm. Now, that's a common fault, hand over the mat. So he's going to slide back down and reposition himself. Good. Now you'll notice the fingers are spread. The fingers are wide. And what he's going to do here is he's going to spread his arm. If he brings his elbow back into the start position, bring it all the way back into it. Yeah. Now, this is my teaching point. Spread your hand across. They are lovely. Spread. Get all points of contact. And to begin with, when you first do this, the first part of the exercise, there's 2 parts to it. The first part is just to push the shoulder down into the floor and then lift it back off again. Just rotate it forward, rotate it back. And as you're doing that, what Pablo's doing is he's reading along the underside of the bottom half of his arm. He's reading into if there's any tightness in where his elbow is. And he's also reading how tight or how loose the top underside of his arm is, which is called the bicep. Okay, so he's done 10 of these repetitions and he's quite comfortable knowing that this area is now nicely warm and mobilised. What he's going to do is he's going to rotate out the way by he's taking his right hip and coming over onto his side. As he does that, he's going to slide the right leg up and through. You'll see from the top camera position. We're running 2 cameras here so that you can see from both angles. So this will be a split screen. On the split screen, you'll notice where Pablo's position is. Bring your knee up further, pal, if you can. Good. Okay, so he's now using his opposite hand for support, going to generate some movement and momentum by pulling his shoulder back and pushing down through and into the front of the shoulder and back down. Now being the successful professional expert coach that Pablo is, and a proper strength conditioning and physical fitness geek, he has good mobility. And this is an exercise that he can do and enjoy. For some of you, and most of you, just getting into this position is going to be a challenge, especially if you're new to this movement. So take your time. Definitely do not hurt yourself. And if it's too uncomfortable, then don't do it. But let's just suggest that you are a bit more advanced and you're in this position. You want to generate more momentum by using the hip and the shoulder to come out, lovely, and back in and back down. Allowing the area here to be stretched off. Once you get good at this, it's a beautiful, beautiful stretch. Excellent. So Pablo's done his repetitions, which generally, usually, is around about 10. And then he brings himself back over flat. Now he's going to slide his body back to the start position. Don't move yet. If you're not used to doing this limb's going to be a bit kind of the way you feel if you've got pins and needles. So he's going to take his time. He's going to fold in from the elbow here. And he's going to slide his hand back. Slide his hand back. Bring his elbow back in. And allow the arm or the limb to recover. Then he's going to reposition himself to the opposite side of the mat. He's going to go through the exact same process with the opposite arm. So, he's going to spread his arm across. And he's going to feel for his fingers and spread them down. And he's going to get his wee sweet spot. Probably could, maybe just because I can see over the top, come over a wee bit. What you'll do over time is you'll find the right position. You'll find your sweet spot. You're going to be able to just kind of play about with it a wee bit until you get into the right position, knowing exactly where you're going to hit the stretch. Then he starts his rotations. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. At the same time, he's reading along the limbs. The bottom half of his arm and the top half. The forearm, flexor extensor, and the bicep onto the deltoid, which is the front of his shoulder. Just they're the actual names of the muscles. And once he's comfortable knowing that they're all mobile enough and warmed up, then he's going to rotate over. He's going to slide that foot under. Good. Lovely, mate. He's going to reposition his support in the hand, and then he's going to improve the range of motion specifically for his level by rotating up and down, up and down. Feeling for the stretch all the way from just underneath the clavicle here, the collarbone, right across the front of the inside of the shoulder and along the arm. As most of us have challenges with what they call internally rotated shoulders due to sitting and being on phones and computers, etc., this is a beautiful stretch to be able to improve the range of motion within the area of the pec and the shoulder. Big shout out to my coach, Paul Gray, Art of Functional Movement, for showing me this as well and teaching me how to do it. Okay, Pablo comes back over to the front. He slides his elbow back in under his own support and safety. And that's how you stretch off your chest, where it joins the shoulder and the inside of the arm. I'm David McConaughey, this is Pablo Gereno, and we are the DMC Fitness Crew.